You're listening to Reckless Creatives, a Pipeline Artists original podcast, where Sadie Dean and Jeannie Villette Bowerman share the candid truth about the challenges and benefits of living life as artists. Hey, Sadie Dean.
Hey, Jeannie.
How the hell are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. I'm hanging in there. I washed my hair today, so there you go.
Okay, well, it's the end of the month.
Exactly. The
clean.
monthly writer shower. Oh, God help me. How much did you love having a conversation with Zach Bandler?
I really loved it, and I love what he's doing.
Yeah.
How he's approaching his art. You know, the importance of empathy being a driver and what he's doing, educational component to it as well. It's really cool, and how he found a very specific niche that speaks to him as a storyteller is really, really cool. And I think our listeners are going to get some really cool ideas for themselves on how they can find funding or other resources to help feed into what they're doing.
And he's got a really cool website. I'm just saying.
It's really nice.
It's beautiful. So anyway, Zach is doing something really different. How we found Zach is that he had a short film that was a finalist on our short film pipeline contest, which honestly, if you guys are filmmakers and you're not entering that, like, you're crazy. Although you will have stiff competition because there's some really amazing filmmakers that are in there. So we will put a link to Zach's site and all of his information. But the reason that we wanted to talk to him was because he's got this really niche target. I'm not sure what you call it. Yeah. Powerful, moving things that matter and that make a difference in life. So there is a way in your pursuit of the arts to combine it with something that's maybe a little bit more meaningful than just making an entertaining film. Not that making an entertaining film isn't important, because we do need escape and we do need that too. But if you can make a film that entertains and also moves you in a way that you never expected, this is a conversation for you.
100%.
Yeah. And somehow Sadie Dean always manages to sneak a little music talk in there.
I did.
You did. I'm like, look at those guitars. I know the music's coming.
Happening.
And can I also just say, just to prepare y'all, Sadie has the worst internet in the universe.
I have the worst internet. Which could be good in that when it doesn't work, I should be working on something that doesn't need the internet, that I could focus on something. But it always goes down when I need it the most. Like recording
I'm going to
have
to have a conversation with your landlord. Just put me in touch. But we wait for Jean pummeling Sadie's landlord. You should just stop what you're doing, or keep doing what you're doing. Stick your earbuds in and listen to Zach, because he will move you in ways you never thought. And you might get some literal life-saving advice.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I'm not going to say get. You will get some literal potential life-saving advice. So if you want to live a long, healthy life, you need Reckless Creatives. Okay, Sadie.
I made it. I am so sorry.
Hi, Sadie.
Oh, it's fine. And also, too, if your internet sucks and you want to turn off your camera if it gets bad.
If I disappear, it's not because of the conversation. You'll know why. It's nothing personal.
It's not personal.
Oh, Sadie and your internet. I think we have to call your internet provider. I'm going to send them, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell them if they start doing a better job of connecting your internet, we're going to send them a Reckless Creatives t-shirt.
And they're like, wow, that sounds great.
Or a pipeline mug.
Everyone can use a pipeline mug.
I know.
I have two now.
They're
There was a
treasures.
surplus at the
Yeah.
so I took two. I'm that guy.
Did
You're
you
that
go
guy.
to
And
the screening? Are you based in LA?
I am in LA. Yeah, a short film I did last year was playing in Matt
Oh,
could
this
put
last
around.
week? Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that one. I couldn't make that one. Well, now I'm
Oh, you're
really
in
bummed I
LA.
missed it. Yeah.
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
Zach, since we're talking about your short, tell us about your short.
A lot of the work that I do right now is in like health equity as a filmmaker. So like I would call it like sneaky advocacy because I don't like want to put the message like really far out in front of the narrative, but because I'm a narrative screenwriter and director, um, I'm looking for a lot of stories that specifically I work a lot with like brain health and dementia and age-related disability right now in my career based on kind of just how I got into this work. So I met
That's why
this
he's talking to us, Sadie, because we clearly need help.
niche. Oh yeah, that. No, I'm fine. We can talk about modifiable risk factors for dementia if you want. I have all that information.
Yeah, I mean, it's important stuff,
It
especially
is.
for people in our field, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we gotta remember things.
I was just talking to a producer yesterday. We're actually pitching a reality TV show about later life fitness, brain, like mind body health, and so we're kind of trying to figure out the pitch. And
Not to go off on a sidetrack, but if you need somebody, my mother's 94 years old and she still works and has a tax business. Just saying.
okay, good to know.
She can be a little, I don't know.
Does she power lift or run?
She has a squat rack in her
No, she doesn't.
garage, and
It's okay. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to digress.
Sorry.
I met
We
this
really
neurologist.
digressed.
No worries. I met this neurologist who I was doing this fellowship at what's called the Global Brain Health Institute. And he's Congolese. He's from Kinshasa, the capital of the DRC. And he was telling me this, stories about patients and just kind of his practice. And there's a lot of issues with his patients that, neurocognitive issues like dementia or epilepsy are viewed as witchcraft.
Mm,
Because there's just, there's a lack of understanding
yeah.
why these things happen. And obviously the symptoms can be really very difficult for loved ones to deal with and community to deal with. And so he told me about this one specific patient that he had. And I asked him if he wanted to do a film around that and something that was like very much for the Congolese, to help him get resources and for people to feel like their stories were, reflected back at them and then actually use that in an impactful way to, get help and education. So we wrote this script together and kind of, I've worked with non-writers before. It's really fun. And then we went and shot it in Kinshasa with Congolese actors and like mostly Congolese crew, almost 2 years ago now. And it's been, it did festivals and things, and we're still working out how we can kind of have this whole impact outreach initiative there. It's been challenging because of the geopolitical situation in Rwanda. It's on Canal Plus now, so they're distributing it, which is great because now people all over Africa have actual access to the film.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, I tried watching the trailer, and of course, my internet wasn't working, so it wouldn't actually load for me. But from what I saw, it's beautiful. I mean, just everything about it, visually, story. I mean, just even from the snippet I saw, it's like I have to see this movie. So this is what played at the secret event that Pipeline hosts.
It played at Pipeline's secret event, on Thursday. It's very fun. The composer was
We'd
there.
like to be secret.
I'll send you the screener if you want to see the movie.
Yeah, please do. I just watched your movie, The Lightkeeper, and everything you've just told me about just what you're dealing with in terms of your advocacy and the stories you want to tell. Just that narrative was very much there. Again, not like hitting us over the head of like, this is what it is. It was just like this beautiful reveal of like, oh, well, now I have to see the feature. So what's happening with that?
Yeah, so that film is what set me on this whole journey. I was developing the feature after that short, and I went to UC San Francisco to meet with a neurologist there who founded their memory and aging center just to do research. And when I was there, he said, we have this fellowship in the Global Brain Health Institute. There's 2 sites here at San Francisco, and there's one at Trinity College Dublin. We'd like to have a few artists in each cohort. If it's something that interests you, here's a bunch of literature. And like, I didn't bite at the time, but 4 years later, in the middle of the pandemic, and I was just like, we were obviously, Jeannie and I were talking about how kinetic this industry is, and it was a very
Hmm.
dynamic time. And I just needed a reboot. And so I applied. I ended up getting this residency, and I went to Dublin for a year to specifically develop that feature. And ended up coming out with 3 projects and like all of this other advocacy stuff. And I started a production company with another fellow and like all this jazz. But the film is, the script is written. It's very different. Very different. It's a mother-son story set mostly in Western Ireland.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Just as if like when I was there, I just was so I went and I was out in the West quite a bit, and it's just like the light there is like it's just the most beautiful natural light I've ever seen in my life.
Hmm.
I gotta shoot out here. This is wild. Um, and so yeah, so it's done well. I mean, it won the American Zoetrope Screenplay competition in 23 and was on the Nickel semifinalist list, and it's making its way. It's hard to raise money right now. We're doing what we
Hmm.
can. I have great agents who are working hard in London to try and make it happen. But it's going to be a pretty big co-production, like internationally between, here and Ireland, UK, and Singapore. We're actually shooting in Singapore too.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Just utilizing all these locations. Are you casting locally too? Or are you bringing American actors over for this?
We're gonna cast locally. I mean, it's not hard to cast locally in Ireland.
No, I mean, the talent there is
Yeah, and we'd love to have
ridiculous.
we'd love to have a great Irish star in her, 70s to play this role. So we've got our list, and we'll be working through that. But the other character is, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so we're starting with the son, and then we'll go from there.
And this is like the
Very
second
cool.
person we've talked to in just like a month who's about shooting in Ireland.
Well, there's so much
Yeah,
production
yeah,
going
yeah.
on. I mean, they've really incentivized.
Hmm.
They've really taken advantage of all of the tax incentivization to try and get larger international productions in. It's harder with indie because, they like to have somebody Irish at the top of the ticket, which is not me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, but, I think kind of the more creative solutions to production, like we moved all the stuff that was set in California to Singapore, and because they have some very attractive, supportive, same thing, they want production.
Hmm.
Um, and they do have some infrastructure for it. So, but yeah, it is a very popular place to shoot.
I want to know a little bit, like back up a little bit, like before you found this little niche of topic, what was your path like, and the kind of things you tried to do to break in before this, and that made you, and then all of a sudden when this happened, it's like, oh, maybe I've got something here.
I'm School of Hard Knocks as a screenwriter. I didn't go to film
Hmm.
school. Um,
I
I
didn't
w-
either.
yeah, I was an actor. I went to Northwestern for acting, Chicago, and so I did that for the first part of my career. I was like a big musical theater actor, and like did all that stuff, and did a couple small roles on TV. I met another actor and I in this off-Broadway project I was doing. We just started writing together, like a silly, stupid web series. It was like 2010, and web series was like
Web series were
at
big.
its peak,
Hmm.
and everyone was gonna buy it, and it was terrible because we didn't know what we were doing. But I learned so much because we just did it all. I mean, I was, just doing it all.
Yeah.
And then we wrote a teleplay together, which was just kind of a lucky combination of elements. And we were honestly like, we were really writing by imitation, because we had no training.
Hmm.
Uh, but, my plucky, somewhat indie producer mind said, "Oh, well, we should do this as like a reading, like an industry presentation in LA." And so like I got some, well-known friends to play parts, and just from my, experience as an actor working with people. And I booked the screening room at the American Film Institute, because it was like a 1950s Hollywood kind of project, and it like worked. I mean, like literally, I pretended to be an assistant at my then talent manager's company, and I cold called every single studio network and like a lot of the production companies that they had access to and invited them to this
I love
reading.
that.
I literally was like pretending to not be like I was not going to tell them that I was the writer.
Yeah.
And like they showed up and so we ended up um the pilot never sold, but we ended up getting repped at a pretty big management company, but we didn't know how to write. So we spent the next 4 years, very painfully learning how to write television. Um, and, like I learned how to write through that process.
Hmm.
Um, and, but kind of through that, it's just like I got really restless with the whole how slow TV development is and how many near misses, we have.
Mm.
And, and so we'd written a pilot that it was made up of vignettes and all about like loneliness and solitude, and intimacy. And,
The writer's life.
yeah, 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 exactly. And, so we took one of them and turned it into a short film, and I wasn't going to direct it. I was just, I was like a writer, and this actor that we were working with was going to direct it. And, I had lunch with my mentor, who's a producer. He said, "Why aren't you directing this?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not a director. I don't know anything about directing." And he was like, "Well, so you'll figure it out as you go. You just hire people
Hmm.
around you, they're doing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I told the actors, like, "I want to direct it with you." And I just never looked back from there. Like
Hmm.
that was like the beginning of me as a filmmaker. And so, but I was just doing what everybody else was doing at that point. I was just like just trying to make as many short films and find my voice as possible
Yeah.
until I made The Lightkeeper. And that was from a personal, that came from a personal experience, like losing my mentor to dementia. So that was the first time I
Mm.
feel like I really tapped into like my own vulnerability.
And the dementia is losing him to dementia. It's a whole different thing that a lot of people don't understand what that's like.
Mm,
My father had dementia. So you lose them before you lose them.
Mhm.
yes, the long goodbye.
It's a very long goodbye. And I love that you are shedding some light on that for people who don't understand it. Because when you first get that diagnosis, I just thought, oh yeah, like he's just going to be a little forgetful and, whatever, I'm sure he'll be fine. But I remember the day I went to him, I had some problem with work and I just really needed my father's advice. And I was like, okay, dad. So then like lay all this stuff out at him. And then all of a sudden he looks at me and he looked away and he goes, oh, did you see that pretty bird over there? And
Mm,
I was like, oh shit, he's
mhm,
gone. Like I mean, he's there physically,
Mhm.
but then all of a sudden they'll have these moments where they're back.
yeah,
They're totally back. And then, but you don't know how long it's going to last. And then they're gone again. And it's
yeah,
this push pull, this push pull. It's just for the people caring for the person, it's just a big mind fuck in some
yeah,
ways
totally.
for everyone, for them
Yeah,
and you, the irony
it
of
is.
it.
Yeah, the weight of caregiving is very, very intense. And it's talked about and seen, like there's a lot of that in The Father with Olivia Colman's character, but just the weight of caregiving and stuff. And what's interesting is like a lot of what I realized and when I got into this whole niche, for lack of a better word, was like there's so much doom and like there's like so much boogeyman aspect of like
Mhm.
depicting dementia and it's like when it's especially when it's used in like horror,
Mm.
uh it can I feel I and no offense to those filmmakers, like everyone's got to do what feels authentic to them, but like I do feel like that really it doesn't do anything to help the stigma.
Hmm.
And like we're all dealing with like it's a pandemic, like everyone's we're getting older, we're living longer, and it's part of everybody's life. I mean, everybody I talk to has somebody, like I've since
Yeah.
lost both my grandmothers to dementia, and like for some reason it's become like normal that like, oh, this is a
Mm-hmm.
normal part of aging. Was talking to somebody yesterday with this pitch we're working on that, and there's a study that 65% of healthcare workers believe that dementia is a normal part of aging, which is
Wow.
bullshit. It's
Wow.
not, you know. And but unfortunately, like this is where we are, right? Like we can talk about prevention and we can talk, we can dramatize those things and try to inspire those of us who are not at that point in our lives yet, but we still have to deal with where people are now, and like this is the fabric of our family systems at this moment in time. And so I think like being able to like, with your father, like those moments where there is something, though sad, also beautiful in that of like,
Mm-hmm.
this is where they are right now. Can I meet
Mm-hmm.
this human being where they are right now? Like those moments of bittersweet joy, for lack of a better word, I think are really important for other people to see because that's an empathy channel.
Mm.
Hmm.
As hard as it is, it's not, there's no Pollyanna about it. It's a hard, really challenging disease to deal with.
You're never going to get it. We're never going to get we're going to exercise, we're going to lift weights, we're going to keep using our minds. I mean, I don't know what the science says about
Get a
you
hearing
know.
aid if you need one. That's really important.
Yeah, I did see that
Super
somewhere.
important.
And you know what's really interesting? My dad had hearing loss.
It is the biggest modifiable risk factor for dementia, like huge.
Wow.
Because people think it's because it isolates you, like you're lonelier because you can't communicate with people, which I'm sure there is some degree of that to be true. But most of the studies are actually because it's like it drains to try to strain to hear, it drains your battery in your brain, basically.
So like the sooner you realize you have a hearing problem, get a hearing aid.
You just go get tested. Go to Costco, get a hearing test. You know what I mean? Like,
I have
well, you
actually
can't get a hearing
recently
test
had
at
one.
Costco, but you can get a hearing aid. Did you? Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, so now we're saving lives. We're not only helping filmmakers, we're saving lives. We're saving caregiver stress. We do everything here at Reckless.
I know.
Clearly, I,
I know.
I, I mean, listen, that this is my, message as an artist, what all of my work is right now. But to your point of, the filmmakers that, hopefully are going to take something away. It's really about like finding something that is incredibly authentic to you,
Mm-hmm.
kinds of stories that are incredibly authentic to you, as opposed to just bowing to the market.
Hmm.
Because the market today, who knows what the market's going to be
The
in a
market
week?
doesn't even know what the
Yeah,
market wants.
no, it
No.
doesn't. If a filmmaker or writer is able to like bring their own vulnerability, masking it through however they want to with their characters, like people are going to respond to that, and communities are going to respond to that. And there's access there. Like, for me, there's funding in this space because it's not
Mm-hmm.
entertainment industry. Most of it isn't entertainment industry funded stuff. It's coming from more of the healthcare space, the philanthropy space that we're really pinpointing because they want these stories out there
Yeah.
as much as I do.
Yeah. But with your musical theater background, how much of that have you noticed has seeped into how you direct and work with your actors and just in terms of, framing and where they're landing on their marks and all that? Because there is such a rhythm as,
Yeah.
in musical theater, obviously, and also as an actor and being an empathy machine, how you portray that
Yeah.
and get that out, right? Obviously, it's more toned down in film, but like
Of
I'm curious,
course.
like, have you found a connection between the two if at all?
Yeah, I think I have. I mean, when you're trained for the stage, there's a lot, the technical mechanisms of like all the blocking gets so exactly locked in for production when you're working, you're doing 8 shows a week that like, yeah, like I think that part of my brain was really well developed in terms of like hitting marks and establishing blocking and that, all of the technical aspects of theater and like finding your light and that stuff is always in the back of my brain. I worked really hard when I was in my 20s because I really wanted to work on camera. So
Hmm.
I studied, I worked really hard and took a lot of classes on acting for camera. And I think the biggest thing that I realized was like, it's just a different storytelling medium than theater. And so being able to like really work with the camera in front of the camera has helped me. It's so much. I mean, like working with actors is pr one of my two favorite parts of the process as a filmmaker. And like, yes, the technical aspects for sure are really important to me. And like, you've seen The Lightkeeper, and like that dinner sequence was like a blocking nightmare. It was insane. Poor supervisor was like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, we've killed how many crabs now on this?
We
Yeah.
killed like 7 crabs, and we're like, yeah, it's a disaster. But to be fair, like, you know, what I've really, the joy of it is for me is like really working with the actors to like find the authenticity and the vulnerability, like in the moment on camera, like really try to capture it. And
Hmm.
that to me is like so magical on set. And it was a really interesting experience to do this film with, in Congo with all these Congolese artists and the Congolese actors because we do not speak the same language. Like
Right.
I
Mhm.
studied French for like 9 months to go and like have some hope of communicating verbally, and like that was somewhat to mixed success. But this little girl who's the protagonist of the film, who was 9 when we made it, and it was her first movie, didn't even really speak much French. She spoke Lingala, which is the regional language there. And like it was such an exercise in like working through communicating through behavior, because
Mm.
like I didn't have another option if I was going to try to communicate directly. And there's like a lot of trust went into that, which was a really, really amazing thing when you're dealing, when your protagonist, your star actor is a kid,
Yeah.
Mm.
and that was really neat. And it was really hard, but it was really neat.
Yeah. I feel like kids are, because they haven't been broken quite yet, but they're more in touch with those feelings. They're like, yeah, yeah, I know how to feel sad because I just felt that yesterday because I had
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, or like, yeah, I could be happy. And, they just know how to like really dial into that stuff and not think too hard about it. It's
Yeah.
like, how will people think of me if I do it like this, or, the ugly cry or whatever it is. But,
I really,
and then you get so much out of the kid too.
yeah, I hadn't really worked. I mean, I've worked with kids like, as a director and also as an acting coach, like lots of times, but I hadn't worked with a child as like the lead actor in a film before that. And what I realized was like, I'm not a parent, but like, you know, letting kids be able to feel safe because they really
Hmm.
they want to please you, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They want to be validated by your approval. Um, through their work. And so what I realized was like, oh, this is less about like trying to craft a performance and like really just like letting this kid feel really safe and like that like nothing she's gonna do is gonna upset me or make me
Hmm.
feel like she's doing a bad job,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And like that was a really valuable lesson, you know, as a director certainly, but also like, as a human.
Yeah. And that language barrier too. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Totally. So a lot of it was, yeah, it had to be me. Like it's my physical behavior on set and like, making sure that it's like very soft and like, I was like, just like it, trying to experience the joy, even though it was like a crazy shoot and I'm stressed out over here. I just needed when I was like working with her, it was really important to just be like, we're having this is a good time, you know?
Yeah.
She worked really hard and her work is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's really, really beautiful work.
That's so cool. Well, thanks for answering that question. I was very
Yeah.
curious about that. Yeah. Because I feel like I'm like, no, I feel like your mentor was onto something. Or like, you're an actor, you've done this, you've done shows, you've acted on TV, you know how to direct. It's in there. You just got to
He was
do it.
right. He's
Yeah.
he's a smart man. He has an Oscar, so good for him. He knows what he's talking about. Um, I'm really glad that I trusted that tough love advice many years ago from him.
Yeah. For these stories and your scripts, and especially your not only writing from such a personal and vulnerable place, but you're also writing something that is, medical treatments, all of that kind of stuff, and the jargon and all that. But are you involving specialists to give you some kind of feedback on how you're interpreting or portraying, or just little things of like, hey, how can this be a little bit more uplifting and a message that we can get across to the people who don't really understand this?
Yeah, big time. Yes to the clinicians and the researchers who have been there along the way in terms of like sculpting accuracy, like the behavioral neurology aspects of it. I work with behavioral neurologists on that. I work with neuropsychologists on like, there's one project I'm working on right now, which is about frontotemporal dementia. Yeah, I've had meetings with neuropsychologists of like, what's the actual experience from the point of view of this person, so that can be in there. But also, I'm really interested in actually having people from the lived experience community directly involved in the process. When I was doing this fellowship in Dublin, I came across this concept of, they call it PPI. It's person public interest. And it's basically like people living with dementia and their care partners are coming into the research process. They're being actually involved by researchers in the types of questions and the processes of research. And their whole mantra, their mandate is nothing about us without us. So it's all about representation in the research.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, we should be doing this.
Yeah.
And so like this project that came out of the Lightkeeper, it's called Land of the Young. I have this whole, we're really exploring how to bring people in to the filmmaking process itself, starting with the writing. We did a whole workshop in the west of Ireland last year with people living with dementia and their care partners. It was a story workshop to develop. There's 2 poems in the film, and those poems are actually read aloud by the omniscient presence of the protagonist's father. And so it was really important to me that those films come from the words of people. So and that's exactly what we did. I worked with a poet and we worked with people, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful poems.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. Have you worked with, and I'm sure you're aware of them, but the Norman Lear Foundation through USC, they
Yes.
have the center, the Hollywood Health and Society, and I feel like what you're doing is perfect for what they're providing for filmmakers and storytellers and access. And they have such a great resource of that. You can literally go through like a phone book and like, I need to talk to this specialist, and they're like, yes, we'll get you in touch, do all the research. It's such a cool resource.
I met one of them. I don't know I don't think she's specifically in that, but I'm in the SIE Society here in LA, which is the Social Impact Entertainment Society. And they had people from the Lear Foundation and from that specific part of it there. I think one of them there was a panel on the Pit. I think one of them were on that as well, talking about, how they can help people with like real accurate representation, which I think is amazing that those things are actually like being utilized now,
Yeah, it's great. It's so cool. Yeah.
When you talked before about, really wanting to make a difference, and I also think that it's not just that you found this little niche. I think it's, as artists, writers, creatives, we should always be striving to have something to tell. Like, why are we telling this story? Like, why did we care about the story? Why should somebody else care about the story? And when you find that thing you care about so much, it comes across so much more in your writing. It's like you're bleeding on the page for those things, and that passion comes across. It's like that, when they talk about like writing the fuck it script, I'm sure you didn't say to yourself, oh, if I write about dementia, that's my ticket in, but you, right. But you cared so much about it that it comes across in your work and what you're doing. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people, struggle to find the thing that they really want to say they feel passionate about, or have the bravery to write about the thing that they're really passionate about. Because sometimes it's something deeply personal and painful to write.
which is scary, you know. And
Hmm.
um, I talk when I work with writers. I'm running a little lab right now, working with some writers on like first time writers on features. And we talk a lot about that in terms of the vulnerability of it. And, you know, I'll say to them, you're writing from this place of like truth and, you know, this fear of exposure of like who you are, but you have to remember that you're also filtering it through narrative. And
Hmm.
Hmm.
like those things, those there's so much archetypally that's universal in our experiences that by the time it's turned into this full journey of a story, like people are going to see themselves in it. You know, they're not
Hmm.
judging you. And frankly, whatever you decide you want to share about how much of it is personal and what you're working through or exploring, like they're actually going to connect with you on that,
Hmm.
you know, because and my work right now is like all about empathy. And like that's the empathy channel of what we can do, you know, through story. That's why I believe it's a basic human need, frankly.
A lot of people don't have empathy.
Yeah. It's not a
Yeah.
requirement anymore.
Yeah, sometimes you look at social media and you look at the comments and you're like, what?
They've shelved it.
Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
a real neural pathway in the brain. I mean, I
Mm,
learned about it during this fellowship. There's like three specific areas in the brain. Don't ask me where they are. I can't remember that. But like, it's an actual neural network. And so, like, yeah, you know, just like any neural network, you can either work on it and strengthen it, or you can let it atrophy.
and I think there's
Yeah.
going to be studies done, I'm sure there already are, about how social media algorithms impact us psychologically in terms of empathy. Like when you like one thing and then the algorithm thinks, oh, this is what she wants to keep seeing. And so it keeps showing you the same thing that might not have been a good thing
Right.
to have
Yeah.
liked. And it's not necessarily who you are, but then what comes first, the chicken and the egg? Do you become that because you see it all the time, all day long?
It's
Yeah.
reinforcement. Totally.
Hmm.
Yes.
Or when you
Yeah.
post something and you're looking for those likes and you're like, I'm not getting enough, or I'm getting exactly what I want. And you're like chasing this weird
Ugh.
high, which is
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
It's really gross. Did I see somewhere was there I just saw somewhere that there's a country that's like not allowing children to have cell phones anymore, like at all.
Oh,
Like,
well, I know Australia cut off social media for
Yeah.
yes,
completely,
Good.
but so no
yeah.
phone. I don't know where that is.
Yeah, I saw it the other day, just the other day. I'll have to look it up, but literally we're like, yep, no phones for kids. That's it. No phones. Old school. Like I didn't have a phone. Like I did just fine. We used to do things.
Yes. I'm 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 in the bridge generation.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm old. I'm so old school that when I should say I'm so old that when that when
Now.
that when I went to Cornell and we at the Statler Hall, this isn't just so much about age, but it's also about my parents. Like they weren't like we didn't have color TVs, we had black and white TVs, like you know, until I don't even know when we got our first color TV. Like my parents were all about like education, doing stuff, get your ass outside kind of thing. When I was at Cornell, I went to see The Wizard of Oz and with my friends and in the theater at Statler Hall. And when she got to Oz and everything was in color, I had no idea that the film did that. I was a freshman. I literally gasped
What an amazing.
audibly.
That's
And I'm
amazing.
around all these like wealthy kids who I'm sure had lots of color TV. And they just looked at me like I was some hick, but which I was. So, but it was, yeah. So yeah,
I
we didn't,
cannot think of a more peak experience for a film, you know, like or for a filmmaker to give to an audience member than
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But you know what was so cool about it though? I got to experience what people experienced when that film first came out because I'm in the theater. They had no idea it was going to turn color, and I didn't
Hmm.
either. And I got to see it on a big screen as opposed for the first time, as opposed to a little TV box that was probably like,
Yeah.
13
Yeah. That's how I
inches or
saw it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel grateful that my parents were not wanting to get a color TV.
Strict on technology
But
boundaries.
those those flying monkeys, man. Whoa.
Oh
They
man, I love it.
I know.
Well, that's, we're all trying to find that version of like how to move audiences, to make these like,
Yeah. I love what you're doing and that you're doing something so out of the box. So like you're actually we're going to be do a symposium with Zach about this, about like finding your little niche and,
Ooh.
yeah, I know. I'm really excited about it. And it feels like this is going to be your future. Like do you ever envision yourself just being like, you know what? I'm going to just let now, okay, that was fun. Now I don't care about this anymore.
no.
I'm gonna write some like crazy rom-com.
No, I mean, I work on other things too.
Mm-hmm.
But like this is really what I feel like.
Your purpose.
Yeah, I do. And I've been I've adapted many times in my
Mm-hmm.
in my 41 years on this earth, and like, starting as an actor, and I was running an arts education nonprofit, and then like, moving into writing and then into directing. It's like just always kind of, I'm weaving to kind of find what's right. I'm okay
Yeah.
with letting go of
Yeah.
Hmm.
things.
That's hard.
And yeah, and so I think that like that has allowed me to get to this place where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is actually like this really cool synthesis of all of these things that I've done in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
I come from a medical family, so that was always part of, my experience growing up in conversation around the dinner table and things. I've always been interested in it. And that plus working in nonprofit and arts ed, like there's that advocacy piece, things that I'm passionate about. It's like it's all kind of like lined up. I don't know what the future is, but I love being in this space. And I love
Yeah.
that I get to work with people in all these different fields.
Sadie and I always talk. I don't think there's a podcast episode that comes up that we don't use the word pivot. Like,
Pivot. Yeah.
yeah, we're always talking about pivoting. And I used to do martial arts, and like they would say, like, if you can't get somebody down one way, you turn the other way and get them the other way. Like, and I feel so much of the concept of being adaptable applies to the writer's life and the filmmaker's life. Like it's okay to say, okay, I went down this path with maybe this medium, like you were acting. Okay, well, I don't know, what's this writing thing? I mean, you taught yourself how to write the same way you taught yourself how to direct. I mean, at my, not to beat the dead horse about me being old, but at my stage of life, I look back and I think how many different lives I've had. And also I was talking to somebody else just today about the importance of learning new things all the time, how important that is for your brain, for your confidence, for everything in life. And I actually said to her, I am so tired of being comfortable being uncomfortable. Because it's like we're always, especially like a pipeline, Matt's always like, okay, let's do this. Oh, let's do this. Let's do it. So I'm always having to learn how to do something new. But it's so exhilarating. And this is why we're here, to live a life. And for the work that you're doing, Zach, to live a life and create in a way that's going to affect and change people and make a difference that you walked this earth. That's what we want at the end, to know that it mattered that you were here.
Thank you. And I couldn't articulate it any better than that. So I will leave that. And I'm great. And seriously, I'm grateful to hear that. And I think we're all, like, it's about growth,
Yeah.
it's just all of this. And it's interesting that you talk about new experiences and like being comfortable being uncomfortable, because I think like those that's where we find ourselves, and that's where we find our authenticity,
Yeah.
in what we do too.
100%. And also too,
Yeah.
like, that I run a little cemetery down the street, and so do our listeners. But when I walk through the cemetery, I do think to myself, like, there's so many people here who've literally laid here for hundreds of years. And because we have Revolutionary War soldiers there, and no one in the family even knows they're there, like in their extended family, no one visits them. No one, like, but I wish I could just bring them all alive one day and say, tell me what you left on this earth that you were really the most proud of. They can't talk to me, but I try.
Well, I mean, you could try a seance and see what happens and film it and just let us know.
Yeah.
So I think the question really, let's ask somebody who's alive. So Zach, like, if the one thing you want people to say about you,
Oh God.
right? So I've never asked this question of anyone before. Normally we will sometimes ask the question like, what do you wish you could have told your younger self or whatever? But I think with your work that you're doing, it's really
Legacy.
about, yeah, it's legacy. This isn't just like, oh, how do you break in as this filmmaker? Like that who
Mm-hmm.
cares? Like it's what you're doing
More
is really important.
purpose driven. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll
Wow.
edit out the pauses.
Thank you.
I'll put little think bubbles.
I think that it's probably two things for me. The first is that I feel that I finally found community through my work because it's so collaborative. And that to me has been the most enriching thing because, you work so hard on like, I mean, I made a bunch of short films at this point and we're like working on these two features. And, but like you work really hard and you make something and then it's out and like you're kind of moving on to the next thing. And so, you know, there's like it's hard to, you want you need something to anchor you in that
Mm-hmm.
process somehow. And for me, it's like the people that I get to work with, like worked with the same cinematographer for 11 years, the same producing partner for just as long, it's like these people are my family at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and now I've gotten to, I've increased those rings to people who aren't even in the entertainment industry. This neurologist at UC San Francisco who founded the Memory and Aging Center is now one of my most important valued collaborators. Like we're working
Mm-hmm.
on we're working on a film together that's about something that happened in his life, a case that he testified in the sentencing hearing in the 80s. And like, it's been such a rewarding process to just be able to, I don't know, to just kind of like have this authenticity, empathy channel with these people in making the work because, when one day the work will be done and then we'll be on to something else. So there's that. And then I think the other thing for me is like, just as a person is like, like how can this work bring me more reverence for just like, it's like, that's the word that stands out to me is reverence,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is all of the things. It's not just like joy and positive experiences. It's like life is really messy. And like, I'm starting to feel like there's a reverence for that in like letting that be part of this work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important to me because it helps me grow.
Mm. And I think there's also too that thing with when you make short films, you make movies, people are always saying that like everyone has such a teeny tiny attention span.
Yes.
And you do something and then it's like, 6 months later. So, oh, what have you done lately? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and
Yeah.
and I feel like with the work that you're doing, that's not a question people are going to ask. Like it because it's more important than just being entertained.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the
Oh, I hope
difference.
so. I hope
Yeah.
so. I feel that, when I'm working on it and, I've got like lots of open tabs right now, but all in this space. And it's really like, it's fulfilling for me to be able to, like we're working on Coco Suzanne and we're trying to get the Impact Initiative like really launched in a meaningful way. But we're also working on Land of the Young and we're, like talking to collaborators on that. And, it's like, I get to fill my day with it. And I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. We could probably have a contest as to who has the most open tabs.
I'm going to say it's Zach right now.
I don't know. I don't know
I
if
don't know.
that's
I'll have to
possible.
send you a screenshot. Mine's pretty bad.
I don't
Well,
know.
Zach, this was so great. So great to talk to you. And I really appreciate you taking the time and also allowing our listeners to think outside of the box about like, maybe there's that thing that they've always secretly been a little bit passionate about, but of like, how do I fit that into
Yeah.
my
How do you bridge
filmmaking
the
or
two?
writing? Yeah. I mean, I think this is an interesting conversation for them to listen to maybe spark some ideas how they can have it all.
Yeah. And
Outside
what's
the
so
box.
cool, what you're doing too, it's, because it is so specific that there are people out there who do want to talk about it and
Mm-hmm.
share their resources and talk about the topic. Like not to make about me, but like I produced a documentary that was about fatherless kids, and like just opening up with that and talking to psychologists and different, group homes and everything. It's just people want to share this information because they, people need to hear it and need to learn, and, to put it through a narrative channel filter that you're doing, I think it's going to have such great impact. And yeah, just keep doing it, Zach.
And know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I love what you said about outside the box, because I think it's like, well, maybe you're thinking outside the box to find what's really actually inside the box.
Yeah.
What's really in you.
Yep. Which is hard.
And a lot of people don't want to look there. But that, my people, all our listeners, the stuff that's in you, the stuff that makes you cry, the stuff that makes you uncomfortable, those are the things when creatives open up that box inside them, that's when the magic happens. And when you write something that matters and people want to see it.
I could not agree more with that statement.
So this was like a little therapy session.
Yeah, this is nice. This is really nice.
Well, I hope everybody leaves this feeling like, some peace and some drive at the same time.
Yeah. Call your therapist and cancel your appointment. Reckless Creatives is a Pipeline Artists original podcast. Like, subscribe, and follow us on social media at Pipeline Artists. And find more info at pipelineartists.com/listen. Until next time, stay reckless.